Hello everyone, my name is Rydon and welcome back to Rydon Hobbies. In today's episode we are going to finally be painting Elthari from the Elthari's Guardians Warhammer Underworlds box set. Now, I know this one's been a long time coming. I had work and other obligations, but I'm finally getting to painting here. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. As you can see, I'm still kind of using some of the crappy old brushes from before and still using a can of dull coat as my paint handle. But in the interim between the last time I recorded and now, I also got a new workstation, and so my video quality should be a little bit higher. I'm not painting in front of a old cardboard sheet that I use to prime things anymore. And I've got some new brushes. I'm still kind of using cheap ones since I'm still a little inexperienced, but this is finally the end of the Amateur Paints series, and thank you all for having rid with me as I experience this. For those of you who are just tuning in, since it has been a long break, I took a chance to paint the Elthari's Guardians box set. Not quite the first minis I painted. I painted a mini for D&D, and then I also painted a fistful of Hormagaunts. But this is the first time I really went in and tried new things. I tried to do a little bit of wet blending on each of these minis, a little bit of detail painting, and using a little bit of metallics. I also based the paints on each of these on something, and I wanted to see who can guess what they were based on. Today, at the end of the episode, I will do the big reveal, and we'll see how I did, what people think. Overall, even though this is still kind of a rough paint job since it is still early for me, I think Elthari turned out best out of the four. Unfortunately, I am still using the same tripod, so there is decent likelihood that I'm still going to be kind of leaning in and a little bit close compared to how I would like. But overall, the light quality and the paint details should look so much better on my new setup. I'm really excited to show that off to you guys. Elthari's paint scheme was a little bit weird. On the previous ones, I tried to keep all of the wood and all of their spirity form and all of the leaves, all kind of uniform colors, and only do some blending on some of the extra details. But because of the way Elthari is designed, in order to make what I was going for cohesive, I had to kind of change the color of the vines as they go up into the lattice on her back. She is easily honestly the least colorful out of the group, and the wet blending I did is kind of minimal on her. Also, painting the inside of that lattice proved to be quite difficult. I wound up working at it for quite a while. I think this was a good one to have zenithally primed because some of the shadows on the inside look a little bit more natural now. I think I could have done better on the highlighting, but overall, I think she turns out pretty good in the end. You can see me working on the details of the lattice now, and I try to get a little bit of a speckle on that gem to kind of make it really pop out, and it took me a little bit of doing to finally get it just right. I kept doing too much or too little. But overall, I think she looks pretty good, especially given how new I am to painting. Well, could definitely use some improvement. Now we're on to painting the base. As with the other ones, I started by doing a layer of kind of muddy brown as a base coat. That way, anything that still sticks out just kind of looks like dirt under the undergrowth. I really wanted it to look kind of natural. As you can see, I'm starting to add detail onto the twigs now. I think that they really pop. Since on the color wheel, red is opposite from green, I find that it kind of does stick out a lot more. It makes for some pretty good contrast. There's some really great videos on contrasting out there. I think that Miniac has a fantastic one. And they usually tell you not to just paint red and green unless you want to look Christmas colors, but I think for the theme I went with, this worked out pretty well. So, before we get to the finale, who do you think is based on what? Here we are with some B-roll footage showing some sweet detail. I took this B-roll very recently, and it's in my new recording station, so you can kind of see it. You can also see that in the time since I was last here, I accidentally broke the staff, and there's a little bit of super glue sitting on it still. So, firstly, Galligan is based on Kefka. It's a little bit of both of his forms mixed together. Then we've got Scathael, who is based on Sephiroth, with a little bit of X-Death mixed in for the horns. Onslane is based on Ultima from Final Fantasy Tactics. Again, a little bit of both of her forms are supposed to be mixed in there. Then finally, we have Ylthari as the Cloud of Darkness. So how do you think I did with this paint job? I'd like you to leave your answers in the comments below. Was I pretty close to them, or was I off the mark? Do you kind of feel the vibe? Either way, I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, live strong and ride on.